So phytopharmaceuticals, what the phytopharmaceutical drugs are, how it is, how they are going to be defined. These are the drugs of the purified standardized fraction, and these are going to be assessed qualitatively and quantitatively with a defined minimum 4 bioactive or phytochemical compound of an extract of plant or its part. That means there is a need to have at least a 4 bioactive compound. Then that particular product is said to be the phytopharmaceutical. So this is the definition which is given. Now, as far as the phytopharmaceuticals are concerned, the data that is to be submitted along with the application to conduct the clinical trial, or in order to import the drug, that is the phytopharmaceutical, from the other countries, or to manufacture it in case of India of a phytopharmaceutical, then that is in accordance with that of the second schedule. So the second schedule that is given in case of the NDCT rules, NDCT Act. NDCT is the new drug clinical trials, right? So it should be in accordance with that of the table 4, and the data to be submitted along with the application in order to conduct the clinical trial or import or manufacture of a phytopharmaceutical drug in the country, that is to be provided in two parts, that is the part A and part B. So part A, that will consist of the data that is to be submitted by the applicant and the data that is related with that of the human or the clinical pharmacology, or the human and the clinical pharmacology information. Whereas the data that is generated by the applicant, that is needed to be supplied in the form of the part B. So part B, that will consist of the data generated, and the part A, that is nothing but the data associated with that of the clinical and the human pharmacology information, right? So the part B, that will consist of the identification, authentication, and the source of plant that is used for extraction and the fractionation. It will also consist of the different processes for the extraction and subsequent fractionation and purification. Then the formulation of the phytopharmaceutical of the drug that is to be applied, the process of manufacturing of the formulation, and the stability data associated with the phytopharmaceutical. In addition to that, there is a need to provide the safety and the pharmacological information, some of the human studies, the confirmatory clinical trials, the regulatory status, the marketing information, and the post-marketing surveillance. In addition to this, any other information, if it is there, that needed to be provided along with that of the phytopharmaceuticals. Okay. Now, there are some of the requirements as far as the local clinical trials are concerned. So the local clinical trial that associated with that of the drug that is to be discovered in case of the India. So for new drug substance that is discovered in India, the clinical trial that is required to be conducted right from the phase 1. That means phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, all this information, all these data need to be generated and need to be provided. For new drugs approved outside of the India, the phase 3 studies need to be carried out in order to generate the evidence. Evidence associated with what? Evidence associated with the efficacy and safety of the drug in Indian patents when used as recommended in the prescribing information. Note the difference. If the drug substance that is discovered in case of India, then right from phase 1, the data need to be supplied. And if the drug that is approved outside of the India, but we have to carry out the process of, or we have to apply to that of the clinical trial, then we need to provide the data associated with the phase 3 studies, right? So this is the basic difference. Okay, fine. Let's move to the next. That is the rule number 24. So the new drug which is already approved and marketed in a country as specified under Rule 101, that is the application that shall be disposed of within a period of 90 working days from the date of receipt of application by the said authority. So it is the Rule 24. Next is the Rule 101. So what the 101 rule says that the central licensing authority, with the approval of the central government, that may specify by an order the name of the countries from time to time for considering waiver of local clinical trial for approval of new drugs. So the rule 101 that will contain the list of the countries. This list is given by the central government and it is going to be updated from time to time, where there is a need to go for the waiver. Waiver, that is means waiver that refers to that of the freedom. Waiver that refers to that of the no need to go for the carrying out of a particular phase trial, like say phase 1, phase 2, right? Okay, fine. Now this is the regulatory pathway, that is the process how the application that is to be made and how it will going to be approved. Now the individual or the applicant, he or she has to apply to that of the concerned central licensing agency, that is the CDSCO, in order to get approval for the clinical trial. That might be for the import of the drug or that might be for the manufacturing of the drug. It is associated with the new drug or the investigational new drug. Then it is applied for the clinical trial. The application that is subjected to that of the preliminary examination, and the application that is scrutinized, application that is going to be evaluated by the IND committee and the SEC committee. IND, that is the investigational new drug committee, and SEC, that is the subject expert committee. So if it is the new molecule, the application that is going to be evaluated, that is going to be scrutinized by the IND committee. And if it is the new drug, the application that is going to be evaluated, that is going to be scrutinized by the SEC, that is the subject expert committee. Fine. So then based on the application, the committees, they will give their recommendations. That recommendation might be either in the form of rejection or approval, or if they will find any discrepancy, in that case they will going to arise the queries. So this arised query, that will be responded properly to that of the applicant, and the applicant that will shut